Welcome to the board meeting of December 15th, 2025. Before we say the Pledge of Allegiance, I would request that everybody stand for a moment of silence for the shooting victims of Brown University and the Australian shooting victims, please. Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Could we have a attendance roll call vote, please?
For the attendance, Trustee Daly.
Here.
Trustee Dotson. Trustee Guerra.
Present.
Trustee Miller. Not present. Trustee Reyes. Also not present today. Trustee Walcott. Here. Chair Swanson.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Okay, are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, it's seconded. Do we don't have discussion on that, do we? Okay, all right. All right. Any discussion? Bless you, John. No discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, agenda is adopted. Shonda, would you like to introduce our guests? Bless you, by the way.
I would. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to invite Marcus Matthews to the podium to introduce and recognize our fall 2025 Student Presidential Advisory Council members. And they are here to talk with us a bit about their campus navigation project. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, Madam President, Mr. Chair, members of the trustees. It's so great to see you today. I would like to invite up here with me two of our amazing Student Presidential Advisory Council members, Andre Hood and Trezia Sedan. I got it right. Have a seat. So they are here to share a little bit about a special project they do for what we call SPAC. But just as a little bit of a reminder and some background information on SPAC, I want to give you just a brief overview of what they are and who they do. The Student Presidential Advisory Council is a selective leadership program in which up to 10 students are chosen each semester to advise the president on student-centered initiatives and issues. Opportunities to apply are promoted through the Office of Student Life, campus-wide email communications, and the Daily Bear Advisory. Students submit an application, including short answer responses, a resume, and a recommendation letter for consideration. The Office of the President, through the Chief of Staff, myself, we review all submitted materials and select participants in consultation with the Office of Student Life to ensure a diverse and engaged group of student learners. Please welcome and let's hear from our two students, Andre and Trezia.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andre Hood on behalf of SPAC, and I'm here to talk to you about our student survey. We had two main topics, advising and career readiness. Advising because we want students to feel comfortable and confident in completing classes and courses that work for their career, and career readiness because once students get their degree, we want them to feel confident in their field. For advising, we had a total of 420 responses. For career readiness, 197. Together, 617 responses that worked together for collaboratively to ensure that each student feels successful and comfortable in their fields. So I just want to thank the president of the college, Shonda, and Student Life for the scholarship, the Student Presidential Advisory Council, because as a first-generation college student, and it just means a lot having something that is challenging, but more rewarding than anything in my personal life. So I just appreciate you all, the Board of Trustees, and everyone here. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Hello, how are you, everyone? So I'm gonna talk about our project after we vote everybody in the ASPAC and we got the approval. So it was about the directories in each building, each floor here in the main campus. So we're gonna, first we wanted to do it like digital, but after that, because it's gonna take time and money cost more, so we're gonna do like a map, the one like the RTC building, if, with a QR code, they can scan it and have the map on their phones. And we had like a meeting with the head of IT department, Mr. Kirk Yaros, and the facilities, right?
Yeah, Rock
Yes.
Whitney, yep.
Yes, and they thank you for approving. And they said, no, hopefully it's gonna be like by a year, it's gonna be done.
They're
I
up
don't
right
know.
now. You see a picture on the screen.
Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. So we wanted to do a directory because especially Curtis Mott, Curtis building, it's a little bit confusing. So that is, and the RTC building. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam President.
Thank you.
Okay, communications, Jordan?
There are no communications, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Public comments. Public comment is welcome at this meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act and Board Policy 1640. To summarize Board Policy 1640, speakers must identify themselves and any group that they may represent, and they must identify the subject matter of their remarks, and they are limited to 5 minutes each. In order to give every speaker a fair chance to speak, we'll be timing the remarks, and at the 5-minute mark, if you go long, I will politely ask you to wrap it up, and speech that is inappropriate or defamatory will be deemed to be disruptive, and the speaker can be removed from this meeting if the disruptive conduct continues. Personal attacks, name-calling, and unsubstantiated charges of wrongdoing will be deemed inappropriate or defamatory. Please bear in mind all these rules when you come up to speak. Jordan?
We have one comment from Bobby Walton of Davison, Michigan, on the topic of MCC students.
I was pleased to see you had representatives from your advisory council to present. The reason I'm talking to you today about students is because you are in the middle of presenting a strategic plan. And I remember from last meeting, there was a student on campus that had actually called one of the trustees to talk to him about an experience that he had when your president spoke to him about religious beliefs. And I thought about that. I pondered that, as they say. And I thought, well, isn't it unusual for a student to have to go through a board of trustees, a member of the board of trustees, if they're feeling in any way uncomfortable or threatened or intimidated by something that's happening on campus? It triggered another thought about the tables that were present a couple of months ago in the student gathering space, where there was a table against abortion, which is clearly a religious point of view, and there was a table for the Turning Point, which is a religious organization. And I thought the idea that this campus would have any kind of religious overtones that would make students feel uncomfortable is definitely something that this Board of Trustees needs to be aware of and perhaps even address. So I looked at the state law regarding what they call stalking. Now, I have had a lot of experience with stalking and with people who have been abused by people who have stalked them, because I worked for 20 years in Maryland, either as a volunteer or as an employee, working with people who were victims of intimate partner violence, and sometimes stalking was involved in that. So I looked at the state law regarding stalking. Stalking includes intimidation and harassment, but it must be more than one occasion. It has to be repetitive. So one time was certainly not qualified. But at some of the strategic planning meetings, I did bring up the idea that the focus of your student, the focus of this college is the students. The focus of this college is the people that you're educating and what they come here to get and how you provide it to them. And the most important interface, I think, in that whole mix is your guidance counselors, because those are the people that actually advise the students on course selection, on a course of study that will lead them to their getting their diploma or their degree. And there should be and I hate to use the word should, but there needs to be a function there. Perhaps the guidance counselors could be trained on resources, because I know the college doesn't have any way of enforcing state law, but there are other people outside of this college who do. And if a student feels like they need to make a legitimate complaint about something that is happening to them on campus in that regard, the guidance counselors, or perhaps even the campus police, could be made available and made aware that they need to be able to give resources for that student without them having to come to a member of the Board of Trustees. Not that a member of the Board of Trustees isn't an appropriate person to talk to, but that member had no power other than to talk to the other trustees about what he had heard and what the student had expressed an experience of. So I wanted to remind you of that, because sometimes we forget when we talk about all of the other things that are going on at Mott Community College that the main reason you're here is to provide a good experience and a good education to the students who come. They are the focus of your work. And be aware that these kinds of things can be very intimidating, depend upon the students' own experiences or their own feelings before they even come to campus. So I just wanted to make those comments tonight, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Jordan?
That concludes public comment.
Okay. Consent agenda. There is no consent agenda today. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting from October 24th.
So moved.
Oh, November, what did I say? Oh, did I really?
Yeah, you said October, it's 20, November.
It's November.
Second.
All right, I got a motion, it's been seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. That passes. You're going to pass out some. All right, these are minutes of the closed session from November 24th. Diane will pass them out, And then, do you pick those up when we're done? Or, yes? Yep, okay. Okay. We'll give you a second to look at them. Yes, John?
I have a procedural question.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with these minutes, but if we were going to make a change in these minutes, how would we do that?
I did give some thought to that, and I did, if that were to happen, I would probably confer with our board attorney and our chair, but my sense is that the changes can be done in writing and handed in. And it would be up to me to correct the minutes if I felt that the minutes were consistent with my notes on what happened. Minutes actually don't need to be approved. This is a little difficult because we do this here. But the minutes that I've submitted are approved unless someone makes corrections to them. So the corrections can be handed in writing, reviewed, and I would then prepare a new set of minutes for the board to look at. It would have to be in confidential. We could not do it in public.
In fact, given the nature of the discussion closed session, because I was advising the board, my recommendation is that any comments be directed both to me and Diane in a privileged way, subject line privileged.
Yes, they'd have to, the corrections would have to remain as confidential as the final result.
Thank you.
Has everybody had a chance to look through them?
Move approval?
We got a motion to approve.
Second?
All right, got a motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. It moves, okay. Okay, informational reports. Shonda, you want to handle that?
To present the November Treasurers Report, CFO Larry Gothrop.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, Chair Swanson, trustees, and happy holidays. So the November Treasurers Report and summary, total revenues and transfers in for November were $17.1 million, 52.87 year to date. Total general fund expenditures and transfers out, $8.9 million in November and $37.3 million year to date. November tuition and fees are greater in the month compared to 24 and 23 and higher year to date compared to the same periods. November property tax revenue is greater than the prior 2 years due to a timing in the remittance of property taxes by the local units of government. The year-to-date percentage of budgeted property tax revenues is outpacing the prior 2 years. Excuse me. November salaries and wages increase is less than last year due to the timing of the 3 pays compared to previous years, where the 3rd pay in a month occurred in October of this year, and in November of fiscal year 2024, and 3 pays in fiscal year 2023 in December. November operations and communications are up compared to the previous November due to a downward adjustment for bad debts in 2024 increase in ITS licenses offset by a reduction in advertising in November. Year-to-date tuition revenues are outpacing both the budget and actuals from the prior year. Year-to-date expenditures are in line with budgeted amounts and comparative to the prior year. Accrued payroll is up due in most part to the GASB recording the sick pay liability that we covered last month with the auditors. So total assets, you can see that they're pretty comparative in November of 24 to 25 and the 3-year average. Liabilities in November 2025 are up significantly, and that's due to that sick pay liability that we had to record. So that ends the November Treasurer's Report.
Thank you, Larry. And now Rod Whitney, the Executive Director of Facilities and Construction, will join Larry to review the change orders associated with the Curtis Mott Chiller and Boiler project. And you'll recall any change orders that total over $50,000 for any of the bid projects, that we will provide the board with a summary of those. And that's what Rod and Larry are prepared to do today.
Excuse me. John, did you have?
I had a question on the treasurer's report.
Yes, sir.
I noticed that we put in monthly salaries and wages and wage increases in there. I would think that it would be appropriate to include in there information about how much we're paying independent contractors during that month.
That would be in the contracted services line for most of it, so that any change that we would have from year to year, it's comparative. We've never provided detail on line items other than significant changes to the budget or comparative to the prior years.
Well, I'm not even looking at comparison. I'm just looking at how much we paid in a month.
Well, in total, the contracted services we do report.
Okay.
It's the fourth line item under expenditures on the income statement or the P&L.
Okay. Okay for now.
Okay. John, I apologize. I skipped over the question part. I apologize, gentlemen. Any other questions?
There is just one thing I want to cover before we go into this. I believe Trustee Dotson last month asked about the public service expenditures and why they were lower in 24 versus 25. Excuse me. So first of all, public service only includes workforce development administration and the Fab Lab. So in the prior year, and let me just read this, there was $130,000 that in 6/30/24 they had more expenses because the Fab Lab had a manager's salary and fringes that were included, and it did not in 6/30/2025. So that was the biggest difference in that. But again, public service is only workforce development administration and the Fab Lab, not public safety, none of that. So I just wanted to clarify that for you. So, okay. Just as background, I'll turn this over to Rod. So as Shonda had alluded, the Board Policy 4400 Supervision of Construction, Statement 5, that was adopted in March of 2024. Facility Services is providing a summary of the change orders for the Curtis Mott Boiler Chiller project totaling over $50,000 today. This project is scheduled to be completed mid-summer of 2026. If there are any additional change orders that total over $50,000, we will inform the board as soon as reasonably as possible in accordance with Board Policy 4400. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Roddy and go through those.
Thank you, Board, Chair, Madam President. So we have a total combination of 11 change orders that have come in on the Curtis Mott Boiler Chiller upgrade project. Of that, we have one that is substantial, that encompasses over 60% of the project. It was an upgrade to a control panel. We caught one air handling unit, 23 VAV boxes, our new water heaters as well. It allows for our maintainers to do remote monitoring of the system. That was the purpose of that upgrade. Similar to what we have right now, I have a maintainer monitoring this area as we speak, that I can reach out to them and change the temperature in this room at any point in time. It allows us to do that in that area. That was the purpose of that upgrade. Our total upgrades came to $153,000, and $70,300 was the main control work upgrade for that area. I do have the other change orders as well, although they don't total that amount, if you would like to know more.
Any questions, John?
Just review for me how, if there's, once we have a large contract like this that has been approved by the board, and you have changes, subsequent change orders in that, and I understand that happens in business, that's not anything that's abnormal. What's the approval process for those change orders?
It's a multi-step process. So I'm involved with that, the architect's involved with that, sometimes the building department's involved with that as well as the contractor that's doing the job. So it's a broad decision that's made amongst a lot of people, if it's needed or not.
So, is there a point where it comes back to the board for approval based upon the amount that's expended, and where is that threshold?
That threshold, I think, is $82,000, if I'm not
$82,000.
mistaken, if it's one change order at 82.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a board policy that reflects that, Trustee Daly, and it's actually indexed for inflation each year, and currently it's at 82,000.
Right. Okay.
Additionally, if I could share as well, we anticipated a much larger abatement cost of around $60,000, which once the study was done, the environmental study was done, it was not needed. So that cost was rolled back in as well. So there was a savings on the back end of that.
I'm looking in here and I'm looking at, and clearly, anytime you're doing boiler work, you're going to have a lot of things that are done with controls. And you segregated it into what's this? It looks like two different change orders there. What criteria do you use as far as it being separate change orders as opposed to one, since they both deal with controls? Is it separate, if you have separate vendors, is it, you know?
Yeah. So the contractor or vendor will send in an RFI, what's called, reference for information.
Okay.
And every time they do that, it's a potential change order. So that's when we'll have our meeting, we'll decide if it's needed. If it is needed, then we'll move it into the change order category.
I mean, I get uncomfortable when we're looking at, 11 change orders and at a total of 153,000 in aggregate. And I mean, I've been doing this kind of stuff long enough to know that it's easy to split something into separate change orders. And how do you ensure that we keep everything together and we're not just splitting it in order to get it under a threshold?
Once again, so the contractor will issue what's called an RFI.
Okay.
And that's where we make that decision. So they're not just aimlessly splitting things apart. Any job that needs to be done or looked at, they have to issue an RFI.
Yeah.
And that's where the decision's made at that time.
Okay. And this is, It's one thing if you're doing, onesies and twosies. I appreciate you coming back to us on this because of the aggregate amount that's there, and I don't want to see us get into a trap like we got into on the restoration of the President's Home, where there's a great deal of money that gets expended and all of a sudden it's end game when we, the board, become aware of it. So thank you for explaining that to me. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Also, Madam President, I did bring the new updated building fact booklets for the board members. I don't know if I could present them now, or if you would like me to bring them back in January.
I got it.
No, now is great. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is one other thing I just want to make sure that we're very clear on too. So the $82,000 currently for the change order amount, and what comes to mind is the Prowl project. So the Prowl project is a total award of $32.5 million. In that award, there is contingency. So if there's contingency of $450,000 or $550,000, and those change orders exceed $82,000, those will not necessarily be brought back to you. The project would be anything in addition to what was awarded on the project.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I have a
Kenyatta?
question, yes. Can you tell me what the actual budget is for MCC?
The operating budget,
Yes.
I'll have to pull it, it's like $92.5 million, $95.9 million.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One other question.
John?
And I just want to be sure I understand this correctly. All of the charges that are associated with these change orders come out of the same activity.
Yeah, it would be, each construction project is assigned a cost center, and everything is charged to that.
Okay.
So we can keep track, yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Since you brought up the Prowl Center, what, we got another 2 months until it's done?
I think it was like 36 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're fast tracking that.
But Rod can give you an update.
The lower level has actually been deconstructed, and half of the lower level has been abated. The deconstruction crew is now on the second level. They're moving very quickly. The outside work has been pretty well wrapped up at this point that can be done. They're estimating they're about 10 days to 12 days ahead of schedule.
Oh, good to know. I think that's it for that. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, the MCCA ACCT Governance Leadership Institute. Wendy, would you like to speak on that?
Sure. So December 4th and 5th, it was 3 trustees that went. It was Kenyatta, Jeff, and myself. We went to Lansing, and thank you. We went to Lansing for the MCCA Governance Leadership Institute. Some of the classes that we took and touched on was public governing boards, ethical governance, conflict of interest, fiduciary responsibility, parliamentary procedure, and best board practices. The curriculum was very informative and useful for strengthening Mott College. Thank you.
Kenyatta, would you like to speak on anything? Or?
I think Wendy pretty much covered it. There are a couple of things that I want to talk to Wendy about particularly, and you, Jeff, about certain policies. One of the policies was in the time of crises, like how does our communication flow during those times? I think that's really important to think about ahead of time before we're actually in a crisis. And what it says specifically is communication process during a crisis. And then there was one other thing that I thought would be relevant as well. There was a lot of conversation about just processes. We've talked in the past about board self-evaluations and how helpful that could be. So I wanted to revisit that as well and get that added to the agenda at a later time, as well as I know we're going to be talking a lot about the board president evaluation as well.
Okay, I was told I would receive the PowerPoint, and I have not received it yet, but when I do, then I will send it to all the trustees for your review. Okay. Unfinished business. 1.85, amendment to Board Policy 7015, hazing policy. It's a second reading. John, I understand you have some questions on that?
Yeah, I move that this be returned to the policy committee for review. That we had the first reading, and I raised issues about some of the things that were in the hazing policy, some concerns. The policy board has not been able to meet
Correct.
since then to review that. So I would think that we would want them to review the concerns and look at incorporation. I'll go over what those are in a minute, just to review the bidding, but it should, at this point, I believe it should go back to policy so they can look at it and we could reconsider this at the January meeting.
And that was in a motion form, correct?
That's correct.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion to send it back to the policy committee, and it's seconded. Discussion?
John and I talked about this earlier, so I'm aware of some of the changes that he wanted to do, so I will get with Judge Godola on this. And you and I can talk about it in policy. I know December 17th is our next meeting,
Right.
However, Jeff.
I will be not available
Right,
for that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to cancel that, just so you know, and change it to something else, since Art hasn't been able to be there as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Santino?
Yeah, I kind of overheard what the issue might have been earlier. Is it possible, if it's like a one-liner or simple addition, we could make that motion to send it to like the next meeting for first reading, since it'll be a new one? That way it doesn't get lost. Because I know if the meeting has to get, postponed.
Here, there are three things that I'm concerned about. One is the use of the term strictly prohibited. That's a non sequitur. The second thing is that the current bylaws has language in there regarding the responsibility of making it mandatory responsibility for employees, anybody that's affiliated with the college, if they become aware of hazing, to report it. This proposed change strikes that out. And then the last one is, I believe that in the case of where we're dealing with something that is set forth in state law, that the Commission of Hazing, once it's approved, is a misdemeanor/felony, that there needs to be some language. While we reference the MCL, there's no statement in there that this, if we're going to put it into our bylaws, I believe there needs to be something in there that this is in the Commission of Hazing is in fact a misdemeanor/felony.
Now, is this something that we can talk with John about tonight?
John, would you like to address those? The use of strictly prohibited.
I apologize. Good evening. The question again that you just asked me?
The first item that Trustee Daly mentioned is the use of the term strictly prohibited.
So, Trustee Daly, you had asked questions previously. The language with respect to the policy as drafted mirrors the statutory language that is essentially directed to the college, not subjective. It incorporates the statute itself. Secondly, you'd asked about the mandatory reporter element. Based upon your question that was asked at the last meeting, the modification that I had made indicated, indicated that the reporting of hazing, starting through the Department of Public Safety, DPS, that there was an encouragement of everyone on campus to be aware of what is happening around them, and that if you see something, say something. Anyone may report hazing anonymously, the balance of that remaining the same. The concern with respect to mandatory reporting is that to make any employee a mandated reporter was, I felt, better dealt with in this capacity, as opposed to making employees mandated reporters. The state law is referenced under the legal references. It's MCL 750.411.
Can I respond to my questions? The average person that's reading that isn't going to pick up on that. Okay? So if we're going to, I'll be candid with you, it's not clear to me that, okay, if we want to do this, that's cool, I guess, but it certainly doesn't supersede state law. We can't do anything that's different than what the state law sets forth. And it does place a burden on the college to be sure that if we pass a bylaw that's predicated on state statute, that we, throughout perpetuity, ensure that they are consistent. Because too many times you pass a bylaw and then 3 or 4 years later there's a change in the law, and that never gets incorporated in the bylaws.
So the reference to the statutory citation is accurate, and I guess what you're stating is if there's some modification of the statute in the future?
What I'm saying is that the statute trumps everything. Okay? So if we want to do this and we have it in place, that's fine. I think the first one with the non sequitur is just, that's an administrative thing to take care of. I don't understand why we're changing the wording of the existing bylaws to where it's not an obligation of any employee, if they hear it in the form of, if they even hear of hazing as a third party, to report it. I mean, that one sentence is a pretty strong, that's in the current bylaws, is a very strong sentence. And we remove that, and that should be strong. To be candid, if someone is aware of hazing and they don't report it, to me, that's aiding and abetting.
So the question as asked at the last meeting, the question now, the concern being mandating reporting to employees in the college, the elements of the reporting now coincide with the statute, and to mandate that everyone on campus be a mandated reporter, to me, is raising more concerns that if somebody were to know of something and not report it, opening up college employees to exposure for something they may have heard, when we dictate in this policy exactly how, where, and who can report, and reporting anonymously.
But to me, the important thing is not the process, it's the act that's being reported, okay? I will share with you, and I've shared this with a couple of other people, okay? While I was at the Road Commission during my 18-year tenure, I dealt with 3 cases of sexual harassment by senior employees. Only one of those cases came to me through the traditional mandated processes. The other 2 came to me through third-party conversations that I'm having with someone else, and all of a sudden it's, did I hear what I just heard? And I don't want to see that this is important enough that if someone gets wind of it, they need to understand they have an obligation to report it. And if they don't fulfill that obligation, then they should be held accountable.
And the element of the policy as written now, is there something that you believe should, or at least do the policy
the language that's in the
committee?
existing policy is fine. My problem is that the proposed revision strikes that language out.
And is that something, obviously, you want to go back before the policy committee?
Yes.
And again, that's up to the board, or the board now, as to whether they want that before.
Yeah, that was the reason I made the motion, and especially since there hadn't been a policy committee meeting since the last board meeting, it seemed the appropriate way to handle it was to send it back to policy where we could have this discussion.
Yeah, and that sounds good. That's fine with me. But the one thing that you wanted was the state law in there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that something that we can add to, I see, Santino, what you're saying, that if we can deal with this and get this worded the way everybody is in agreement on, then we can move forward with it, and it doesn't get pushed back.
Yeah, and from a time standpoint, the sooner this is, becomes a board policy, the better, more protective of the college. So I would ask that what Trustee Guerra is stating, the sooner this passes, the better, as opposed to waiting.
Could it, and this is just in theory, if you guys agree, I see the part you're talking about where it says anyone may report hazing, and then it says that mandatory reporters.
They take the first sentence and put, they delete the first sentence and put it back in, and then delete, what's really deleted out of that passage is that second sentence.
Yeah, so would it be possible for, this is discussion, for a motion to be made for this to be brought back for first reading, since it would have changes at the next meeting with the original language included in the current proposal, right? So you would be including that anyone, the mandatory reporter part, which is the original language, and then have the actual state law mentioned specifically so that there's no concern with that. And then if that comes in front of us for first reading at the next meeting, if it's, since there won't be a policy meeting prior to that one anyways, if it's good, we can pass it, and if it's not, then we can send it back to the next meeting. If you're good with that. They would be, those conclude, your issues concluded, and I think they're good ones.
All right, Santino, hang it.
I just don't, talk to me like I'm 6, okay? What's the pressing need? I mean, we're talking like all of a sudden, it's like we don't have a policy and a bylaw in place. We do have a bylaw in place. And it's one that has been effective since at least 2006. So that's there. We're talking about changes that we're going to make to that bylaw, so it's not like that we're without a shield at all.
If I could address the policy that's in place now that currently deals with hazing, policy 7015 falls significantly short of the current statutory requirements. And the sooner we're compliant with statute is my concern.
Because if I remember correctly, it was the state law that had passed that was the reason we're supposed to be changing the policy.
Correct.
That's my only concern with timeline. But I get your point completely too. We do have a committee, but if we can keep it rolling, and then if it's not good, then we can always send it back or whatever. It's up to you guys.
I don't have a problem if we want to fix it here, as long as we fix it.
Well, and is that, can we amend? Diane, go ahead.
If I may, the motion right now is to refer back to the policy committee. If the board would prefer to amend the language tonight, it can do that, but it probably should do that in the context of a withdrawal of the motion to refer, and then deal with an amendment that says, amend this policy in this way, and with the language. That certainly can be done today.
I think that's the best.
And then
way to
adopt
do
it that way.
Now, you have a motion on the floor, though, that's been seconded, and we need to deal with it.
At this point in time, if there's a consensus for the referral motion to be withdrawn, it can be withdrawn, and then another motion to amend the policy, if that's...
I thought that that was an option that was only available until you had a second. Once you had a motion that was made and seconded,
General
it had to be
consensus.
disposed of.
General consensus overrides that, because you are voting, and you're voting to allow it to be withdrawn from the table. Yes, from the floor. And you can take a formal vote to allow you can take a formal vote to deny the motion to refer. It'd have the same impact. But it's also the same if the chair believes there's a consensus to allow the motion to be withdrawn from the board. It can be withdrawn that way.
Go ahead, Santino.
Yeah, I can also count votes. So John, it's really up to you. If he wants to go back to policy, we can send it back.
No, let's go ahead.
It's not,
The first two areas are fairly easy to fix. I want to be sure that we have in the third area, the area where we make people aware that a breach of that hazing is in fact a breach of state law that's punishable as a misdemeanor or a felony. I want to be sure that we give the attorneys time to make sure that wording is correct. Whatever time you all...
I can tell you right now that's accurate.
Okay.
And my preference would be that you as a board, with the input that council can get, that I can give, council can give, that we act on this tonight.
I think that's a good idea, John. I think we should do it tonight.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, I can make a motion to table.
Well,
and
we
give them
have,
time to
we
draft
have
it.
John's motion right now. If he rescinds it, then we can move on. If not, we have to vote
Well, I
on
want to
John's.
find out from the, first of all, I want to find out from the attorneys if it's
Sure.
doable tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it is, I don't have a problem doing it tonight. If it's not, then I want to send it back to the committee then.
Because I was saying too, if
Hey, you know, we can take a short recess while they confer about this.
well, we could we could table it till like after, on the agenda for later today, and then they can have time to look at it. And then that way, if they can't get it, we can also,
Oh, bring it up later on?
yeah, we can give them time and while we continue the meeting and not recess, right? You ready?
You ready?
That was quick,
Yeah, in what council and I have discussed is the Garrett's Law, the statutory citation is cited. Trustee Daly, if you want to add that this could be a violation, misdemeanor of state law, it could be a felony, we can include that. That is acceptable
Yes.
from the draft that I've given. If you want the language with respect to mandated reporting, that does not violate the statute at all. That can be amended and included. And then again, as I've stated, the state law is referenced not only once but twice within the policy as written now.
Okay. I can, that's doable. I would agree to a rescission. I make a motion that, I make a motion that my motion be rescinded.
Is there any objection to that? It's withdrawn. then. Okay, so with it amended, would this be the first or the first reading again? It's a second reading, and it will go, okay.
Okay, and I now make a motion that the proposed bylaw be amended according to, tell us.
To indicate that after it is defined in Garrett's Law, that as prohibited as either a felony or misdemeanor, depending upon circumstances.
Okay.
And I believe what you would wanted was the indication that it's a crime.
Right.
Might not be able to read my writing. Right in the phrase hazing as defined in Garrett's Law, after the words as defined, I would add and prohibited in Garrett's Law, and then the phrase in parentheses, after the statute Garrett's Law, MCLA 750.411T, end paren, you'd have the parenthetical that John just referred to, felony or misdemeanor, comma, depending on circumstances, end parenthesis.
Okay, and then the other 2 points are the removal of the word strictly.
Strictly prohibited.
Yeah, well, it's just prohibited. That's what the law says anyway.
Which do you want?
Prohibited.
Doesn't make a difference, it's good.
And then the second one is the inclusion of the language that's already in our bylaws about reporting, that one sentence that's in there that got struck.
That's the one that states what anyone may report hazing anonymously or directly to MCC through the below channels. All MCC employees are considered mandatory reporters.
Yeah.
Just add that back in.
Keep this,
Yeah.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
lose this.
It would be easier if those would be separate. That's a very complex compound motion. Can you make the amendments one at a time? Is that doable? I'm asking the movements to do it. If that's okay?
Okay. I haven't got a second, so.
Okay,
I
so
wanna
Trustee Garrett is going to be the movement, and Trustee Daly is going to be the second. And we're going to go, there's 3, I believe.
Okay, fine.
Okay. We want them in.
No,
We're doing them one at a time?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, my first motion is
Removing strictly.
removing strictly and keeping just prohibited.
And that obviously makes no statutory difference, so that's fine.
Okay, so we have a motion for the first one. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion seconded. Any discussion? Any more discussion? Anyone? Seeing none? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Say nay. That motion passes.
Mind if I repeat it for a moment?
You go right
Just for
ahead.
purposes of the minutes. So the motion is to remove the word strictly from proposed policy 7115. In the sentence, it says, Mott Community College strictly prohibits hazing in any form. The word strictly would be deleted. Is that the motion?
Okay, one in a row. Santino? Yeah. All right, John. I believe somebody wants to make a motion.
The second one is, that I'm going to make, deals with retaining language that anyone may report hazing anonymously or directly to MCC. So that's already the language that's in there. The one that I'm going to say, all MCC employees are considered mandatory reporters. And I would delete that language is in there. Currently, that would be retained, and we would delete this, the standalone in sentence that is anyone may report hazing anonymously or directly to MCC through the below channels, because that's already in there. Okay.
I second that motion.
Okay, I got a motion. It's been seconded. Could you repeat it, or Carrie, could you
do
repeat
it, Carrie.
The second motion is that under reporting hazing, which appears on page 356 of your materials, the sentence that had previously been stricken, anyone may report hazing anonymously or directly to MCC through the below channels. All MCC employees are considered mandatory reporters, would be retained. The following sentence, anyone may report hazing anonymously or directed to MCC through the below channels, would be deleted.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, that motion passes. Do you need, hang on just 1 second, John. Are you good? Yep. All right, go ahead, John.
I move that the proposed hazing policy be amended as follows.
I want to make sure I've captured everything that you've asked. Hazing as defined and prohibited in Garrett's Law, MCL 750.411T, felony or misdemeanor depending upon circumstances, is the intentional knowing and then continuing the language. So that additional language that I've just stated would be, I believe, your third modification.
And there are parentheses, so that it would read, Diane, hazing as defined and prohibited in Garrett's Law, paren, MCLA 750.411TN, paren, felony or misdemeanor depending on circumstances, end paren, is the intentional knowing, and then the rest would remain the same.
And that is my motion.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion that's been seconded. Any discussion?
God, I write well.
Any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. All right, so now we need to,
I make a motion to approve the proposed policy as amended.
okay, I have have a motion to accept the amended policy as seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we're going to do a roll call on this one.
So the motion to approve the amendment to Board Policy 7015, the hazing policy, as amended by the board. That motion was moved by Trustee Daly and seconded by Trustee Guerra. Is that correct?
Yes.
Take a roll call vote on that. Trustee Daly.
Yes.
Trustee Dotson.
Yes.
Trustee Guerra.
Yes.
Trustee Wolcott.
Yes.
Chair Swanson.
Yes.
That amendment to Board Policy 7015 as amended has passed.
Okay. Moving right along, 1.86, amendment to Board Policy 1640, public participation. It's the second reading. John?
You have had the first reading. There were no modifications. This is second reading, and there's nothing to add.
Okay. Did you want to?
So I make a motion that we approve 1.86.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve 1.86. It's been seconded. Any discussion? Yes, John?
Reading first on that? Are we supposed to do a second reading on that?
There was a first reading. If you wanted to be reread, just as a, but it's in your packet. It's up to you.
I mean,
I can have Jordan read that, John, if you would
the only reason
prefer.
I'm saying this is that we have it down on the agenda as second reading.
Yeah.
It is the second
It is the second reading. It was
Okay.
presented last meeting.
Okay.
Would you like me to have Jordan read it again?
No.
No? Okay. I have a motion to amend the Board Policy 1640, I believe it is, correct? Yep. It's been seconded. Any other discussion? Isn't that 1640?
No, we're on, well, yeah, but we're not amending it. We're just approving it for second reading.
We're approving it.
Yeah, you said
What'd I
amending.
say, amending?
So I was confused for
Well,
a second.
I'm confused over the last one, so.
So I made the motion to approve 1.86
Yeah,
amendment to Board Policy
We're going to approve the
1640.
amendment to 1640. How's that? All right? Any other discussion? Thank you. Seeing none, we're going to do a roll call on this.
The motion on the floor, which was made by Trustee Walcott and seconded by Trustee Dotson, is to amend Board Policy 1640, public participation, as given in the first reading last month and is in the board's packets as far as the language goes. Roll call vote. Trustee Guerra?
Yes.
Trustee Wolcott?
Yes.
Trustee Dotson?
Yes.
Trustee Daly? Chair Swanson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, 1.88. Termination of services by independent contractor prior to end of term. This item was carried over from the last meeting on November 24th. The motion is already before the board, and the motion is effective immediately. Any termination of the services of any independent contractor shall be reviewed by the Board of Trustees and approved by a simple majority vote of said board prior to the effective date of termination. That was made by Trustee Daly and seconded by Trustee Reyes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I asked for the opportunity to consult with college attorney John Godola about this and otherwise examine the circumstances and do the research. I've completed that, but to report that, I request closed session and to offer my opinion.
Okay. I would offer a motion to go into closed session. I would entertain a motion. Or I can make, I'll make the motion.
I can make a motion
Okay,
to go into
right
closed
ahead.
session.
Okay. Do I have a second? Okay. The motion to go, yes. The motion to go into closed session, and it was seconded. Any discussion? Yes, John?
Why, I understand in the list of things that are, you're allowed to go into closed session for under the Open Meetings Act, the attorney hearing a legal opinion is one of them, but usually, I'm trying to think of why this is a case of where the public has interest in this, and why wouldn't we talk about, what do we gain by going into closed session?
I believe the circumstances will be demonstrated to be such that I'm offering a legal opinion about potential liability of the college and the board that is best addressed in that environment. John, I haven't asked very often to do this. So when I do, I give you my word, there'll be a good reason for it.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded to go into closed session. Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Roll call vote on the motion to go into closed session to consider item, a legal opinion on item 1.88. Trustee Wolcott?
Yes.
Trustee Guerra?
Yes.
Trustee Daly?
Yes.
Trustee Dodson?
Yes.
Chair Swanson?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0. We will be entering closed session and we will go into another room to do that, so you don't have to leave.
Yeah. give you a minute, okay? Here, come on. That one? Okay. All righty, we're back. Motion 1.88. John, yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to withdraw motion, item number 1.88 at this time.
Is there any objection? No objections, so we're good then, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, now we're on to new business. I don't see any new business, at least not on my agenda. So, President's report. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I would like to call forward Jim Mitchell, Acting Associate Vice President of Human Resources, to provide both the new hire report as well as the human resource report.
Good evening. We had 3 new hires in October. 2 were presented at the previous meeting. And Jeremiah Dudley joined us as a custodian in Finance and Administrative Services on October 27th. He was previously a custodian at Community School Maintenance for over 7 years. And Jeremiah stated that he is dedicated to providing a positive environment for our students and our staff. Jeremiah holds an associate's degree in custodial management from the Michigan Career Technical Institute and graduated from Carmen Ainsworth High School. So Jordan told me that the graphs that would pop up in your packet here really didn't come up too well or show too well on the screen. So you'll notice that the Human Resources Activity Report for October looks very similar to what we had last month, which was a radical departure from what we had in the past. You might recall that the previous reports were basically one page. It showed current month versus the month the previous year. And what we tried to do is really look at what's happening with the run rates, what's the activity look like over a period of time. And you're continuing some modifications to this report. Effectively back in the previous month of October, there were no changes in the faculty. And we did have 2 regular staff hires in October that were presented to you last month and 1 this month, for a total of 3 for the fall of 2025. We went from 9 to 12. They were 2 custodians and 1 administrative assistant. On your second page, the recruitment summary, we didn't make any changes to the recruitment summary, but what we did is highlighted the faculty activity in blue, and we'll continue to run those on a monthly basis. The turnover summary, there were 4 turnovers in October, 1 retirement, 2 voluntary, and 2 terminations. And you'll see in the following page how that looks comparatively on the run rate. So there wasn't a big change, obviously, in the voluntary. With 1 person, it went from 3.21 to 3.39. The voluntary resignations took a small uptick from 3.21 to 3.65. And the 2 employee terminations bumped us from 0.74 up to 2.08. And that was an increase from September to October from 1.5 to 2.08. The important thing is how is all of this trending? And we are going to be, as we talk about the strategic plan and how we're going forward, we're going to be taking much more of a focus on the voluntary separations. Why are they leaving? And we'll be capturing that data and presenting it on a monthly basis and rolling it out quarterly to the board. On the employee demographics, we had a couple of requests from the last meeting. We were asked to take a look at the GISD for counties outside of Genesee, and thanks to my colleague and friend Dale connected us with MSU, who was able to provide that information. So what you're seeing here, and we're going to abbreviate some of this, it'll be a little bit shorter, but we gave you everything that we had here. So looking at Genesee County plus the GISD for non-Genesee County population, how does that compare to our employee FTE demographics? We also had a request to expand out a little bit more about the demographics. So you're seeing breakouts there for some of the smaller percentages. And how does that compare to larger GISD? The one thing I found interesting, GISD includes Hispanic, and we, because Hispanic, and Art and I had this conversation at the last meeting, is a ethnic versus a racial demographic. So what we're doing is we're still going to continue to monitor that and watch it closely and look at GISD compared to our employee demographic. We also had a request to take a look at our gender breakout and how does that compare to GISD. You can see female, we're at 58% with our employees versus 51% in the GISD. And for males, we're at 42% versus 49% for GISD. And finally, there was no overall change in our FTE count, which is important to the board. And finally, our complaints report for October of 2025, we had 5 open and 4 closed. And again, what's really important here is the numbers are great. It shows what we're, the number of complaints coming in, what we're able to close. But what we're really focusing on here is being able to aggressively move to address these issues, investigate these issues, and get them to proper closure. So with that, I'd be glad to open up to any questions. Yes, John?
And I know this will be taking this will take some time for you to do, but I would like for you to take a look and base your demographics on the district rather than just solely Genesee County.
I'm sorry?
I would like for you to base your demographics
Okay.
on the entire district.
It is on the entire district.
It says Genesee County.
This one says Genesee County and GISD, non-Genesee County population. If you take a look at the employee demographics page.
Yeah, this page?
Yes. Did you guys get the correct report? Oops. Now I wish we could pop it up there.
Hang on just a minute. Did we get the wrong ones in there?
No, you got the wrong one.
I wonder how to get books.
Okay.
Those should be right. This is what we did, John. We took Genesee County, GISD.
How about we have Jordan email us
Okay,
all
that's fine.
the correct ones?
That would be great.
No harm done. We'll just have them email them to us. Okay. Right?
Thank you, Jim.
Any questions? Any other questions?
I do.
Kenyatta.
Thank you. Can you explain a little bit about the turnover summary on page 3? When we say involuntary retirements, involuntary resignations versus voluntary resignations, what does that look like? I mean,
Are you
What would-
talking about comparing voluntary retirements and voluntary resignations?
Like, what would that entail, especially if it's an involuntary retirement or an involuntary resignation?
Well,
assuming
we are
if-
going to be combining those. So there have been instances where people have been involved with involuntary terminations and have opted to just retire. It's a very small percentage, but we're capturing everything.
Okay. And have any of these resulted in litigations at all?
There is not litigation right now, but there is one case where somebody is pushing back on us, but we're not in litigation.
Okay. How does the communication go, and maybe this is more of a question for President Shonda, how does the communication go to inform the board to let us know about like litigations that are coming up, that's a possibility?
I would also ask for Carrie's input here because that gets a little bit dicey.
My understanding, and I'm going to ask for John Godola's help, is that if there were litigation against the college, an officer, an employee, a manager, the board, or a board member, we would report that in fairly short order to the board. That is my understanding of the practice. John, do you agree? Okay, good.
Okay. This prompted the question because I do know of someone someone who was a staff person of the college, and I believe they're going through some type of litigation. I didn't get a lot of information because I didn't want a lot of information, but I wasn't aware, and I'm not sure what other board members were. I wasn't aware at all that this person had even been fired or that there was potential litigation. So that's why I asked the question about, did any of these result in that, and how does the communication flow in terms of to the board?
Well, to Carrie's point, I mean, if there is there are a couple of cases, one in particular I think might go to litigation, but at this point, we're working directly with John on that. So hopefully we could stave that off so that it doesn't go to litigation.
And I would simply recommend to any officer, manager, executive, board member, anyone in any way responsible for the college, to be aware that communications with an employee who has left potentially involuntarily can be very dicey, and to be careful. I would not want to know, just as you indicated, Dr. Dotson, that you would not want to know the details about that. But even if I did know, I would not discuss them with a former employee. It's just not good human resources practice. It may be that in certain situations, which we have experienced, all colleges have, that we need to have a privileged discussion, for example, with board members or executives of the institution. But we want to do that in a very carefully planned and controlled way.
Thank you for that, and I completely understand that. Being representatives of community, having constituents throughout community, throughout the county, people come up to us all the time and let us know about various things. Now, it's up to the board member to take that further or to stop it where it is, and I think many of us, if not all of us, know how far to take communication, where to stop it, and tell them that this isn't something that we're going to talk about. But we shouldn't be hearing these things from community before we know it from administration. As a board, we should already have an idea of who's been terminated, where potential litigation might take place, so we can be prepared in community when people do come up to us. Because I was completely caught off guard, and I was able to stop the conversation and not take it to, a place where we shouldn't go. But at the same time, I would have liked to have been informed as a board member.
So that you could be sensitive to the danger presented by this conversation. I would say this, it is extremely common for the organizations I represent to hear that a claim, and hearing it on the street is actually a pretty common way that you hear it, is possible. So you may find out first, in which case I would probably report that to someone, to the chair of the board or the president, whatever your good judgment indicated there. But I would assume that a discussion about a departed employee presents the danger that you're referring to, Dr. Dotson. I would always assume that, and I would be extremely careful not to discuss it with them almost no matter what the circumstances. In fact, I can't think of a time when it would help you to do more than listen.
So my point is, that's exactly what took place. I mean, you're telling me what I already did, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
most board members understand that. But my point is, I don't want to be caught off guard in community. This person, from my understanding, I hadn't seen this person around for a while, so that helped me to understand why I hadn't seen this person around. So it was more, it wasn't a week, it wasn't a few days. I don't know if it was a month, but whatever the time frame was, no communication was provided to the board. And I just think we have to do a better job at ensuring that the board is well informed about the things that's taking place throughout the college.
You're good. And I could see how that could be an issue too. I mean, as officials who represent the board and the community at the same time, like we get a lot of people who come up to us already, and I've only been here for a short period, and a lot of people come up to ask about Mott questions or stuff like that. So as you're here on campus longer, I'm sure you get to know more people and more faculty, and it would be weird to not see them around. I know like my work does a simple email sometimes to certain people who need to be privy to when people are relieved of their duties, so that we're aware when we do see them, that they don't longer work there. And I think that could be something that could be as simple as like an email to notify people, like, hey, just for your situational awareness, this individual is no longer here with us, and this, you could even put a reason why, or not, or they left, they went on, just so we are not caught off guard. I think that could be an easy solution. That's not up to me, it's up to the administration, but that could be something that could help the board out, especially when out in the community. Just saying.
John,
Well,
from a
I'm sorry.
legal perspective, can we provide names of people that have been terminated
That's
and
what
do
I was
this in a
gonna
public
ask.
forum?
No.
That's just filled,
I didn't
it's
think it was-
filled with
that's
danger.
why I was checking.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
That is filled with danger.
I agree, and let me just pass along, there was an individual that was terminated. He had a contract that said he was not allowed to talk about what happened. He's out there talking about it, and now we're taking action. So be very careful about what you say for people that have been terminated, because these situations are extremely complex, and to Carrie's point, it could open up a lot more than these issues than we think.
If you put it in play, okay, if, for example, you were to confirm to someone on the outside who might be fishing when they talk with you that a person had been terminated, there are theories that are now accepted in Michigan courts called self-compelled publication, where you could actually be liable for confirming that on the theory that the person was allowed to explain why they were terminated in looking for a job. The best course is not to confirm or state anything with an employee that has been terminated. It's hard because you don't want to appear uncooperative. Dr. Dotson, what can we do? I see that you're struggling with some of what I'm saying, and you agree with some of it. One of the things the chair talked about is some communication protocols that we could work up that would help us all to deal with this situation where we got together for a couple of hours and talked about this. I'd be more than willing to participate in this. I think John would too, and we could get more comfortable with this, because what you're describing really happens. It's happened to me. Okay, I've run a business many times over the years, and I know what you're talking about.
Thank you. I'm not struggling with, I agree with everything. It's just, I feel like you're reiterating to me what I already know. And what Santino mentioned in terms of some type of communication should go forward. I've served on other boards before in the past, and we went into closed session to discuss certain litigations and things of that nature because the board needs to know these things. I'm a social worker by profession. I know how to communicate. I understand confidentiality, and I know where to not continue in a conversation. I know these things, and I think my fellow colleagues know that as well. So to give me a lesson on how not to have a conversation, I don't appreciate that part.
I'm sorry.
Because I understand that, and I didn't take it any further at all. I feel I did well in that position, more condolences if anything, and just left it at that. So, so I just think we need to have better communication, timely communication at that.
So, Kenyette, I don't think he was trying to give you a lesson there. I'm sorry you took it that way. John?
I think it's an interesting discussion. I think we can start with something that's simpler, okay? And that this board is the governing body of the college by law. And I would think that when the college is sued, when there actually is a case that has been filed, we should be made aware of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think that's an issue here, but, yeah.
And then back to my point of kind of the notifying us. I don't know what law there is in regards to letting us know that, but I guess as John said, with being the governing body, I'm not sure why we wouldn't be privy to the information of somebody no longer being at the college. So I'm not saying to come into a public meeting and tell everybody, hey, here's who's been fired this month, but like something that would be like more of a confidential notice to at least the Board of Trustees letting us know, like who no longer is here, so we're aware. And it doesn't even have to be why. If there can't be a reason why, it could be treat them as a guest. If they're on campus, they're no longer employed. Something similar like that. That would be up to you guys to determine if there's a legal way to do so. So situations like that in the public aren't caught off guard, because if there is potential litigation and you were unaware of that when you're having that conversation, you don't want to put yourself also in the hole not knowing that. So like that would be something that could happen to any of us if we're unaware of something like that going on. So.
And I would just say, if the board was aware, certain calls I may try to figure out another way to answer those calls. I mean, I may not answer as much. I might say right up front, but it helps me and our board to better prepare ourselves for these types of confrontations or conversations that might happen outside of this room.
Mr. Chair, may I put my head together before the next meeting with the general counsel and the president and you, and see if we can address these concerns? I truly meant no offense, Dr. Dotson, and I apologize I came off that way. I'm hearing you, okay? Can we work on it and give you some thoughts?
I think that'd be a good idea. Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next, Vice President Robert Matthews will give us the enrollment report.
Go ahead and start at your peril here.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Madam President, and trustees. Excited to just give you a quick update on our enrollment for the winter semester. Shared with you last time that we were on a positive trajectory, and we still are. Student head count And this is, we prepared this, of course, on Friday for you all. So as of 12/11, 12% increase from last year in head count, 14% increase in credit hours, and 13.4% right now increase from last year in terms of our student contact hours. The semester starts on January 10, so we still have almost 30 days, and we will, we'll see some adjustments in these numbers, but definitely feel good and positive about where things stand at this point as we prepare for the winter term. Can we go to the next slide? There should be a second slide. It's okay if it's not there. Wanted to share with you some information on the mini-mester. This is something that we started just a few years ago, and it is an accelerated term that we offer between the fall. It overlaps slightly with fall and winter. And this year, the mini-mester starts on the 22nd of December and will actually end on January 8th. It's an accelerated, fully online term that allows students, in some cases, to catch up on maybe some courses that they weren't able to get, and in other cases, to get ahead. And so it provides that opportunity open to students that are here at MCC, and then, of course, students that are attending other institutions. And we have found that in some instances that students who participate in athletics find the mini-mester really exciting for them because it gives them that chance. They usually take one course during that term. We're offering this mini-mester 15 courses from across 4 divisions. As of the 12th, we had 236 students that had already enrolled, and that's at an 81% fill rate, which is a little bit ahead of where we were last year. So we see this as an exciting new addition. I would be remiss if I didn't say that, of course, the notion that it takes a village, it takes an entire campus community to support the enrollment trends that we're seeing, but special kudos and shout outs go to our student services team under the direction of Al Perry and the enrollment management team for everything that they do. I was going to say daily, but it really is daily, because just this past weekend we had an enrollment Saturday, so it's not 5 days a week. It really is almost every day that we're working to ensure that we keep up the momentum that we've gained. So with that, I would say that's the conclusion of my report for today.
Any questions? John?
I'm looking at your increase figures in there. Those are fairly significant increase figures from last year. What do you attribute that to?
So a combination of some of the same things that we saw for fall, an increase in the number of applications. We've seen a quicker pace to which we can actually convert those students who are interested into enrolled with some of the changes that we made in the enrollment process, the addition of both the Community College Guarantee and the Michigan Reconnect program. So a combination of those things are attributing, and we saw probably a larger increase this year than maybe we initially anticipated. And so we're trying to pay attention to those indicators to see how much of that will continue on into the future.
Did that increase cause any problems with our ability to deliver? Did we have the people in the facilities and the bandwidth?
I think what we've seen is that we were able to make adjustments. It was really, really close at the end, but we were able to make some adjustments. We were able to get some temporary increases from, part-time to full-time in terms of faculty. When you see those numbers, that's what some of it really is attributable to making sure that we have enough people in place to support those courses.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the HR report, activity report reflects that with the new hires that you see for faculty in the fall of '25. And I would also mention the promotions that our marketing and communications team has been engaged in over the last several months too, has contributed to ensuring that we are really focused on spreading the news throughout the community using a variety of similar and also new channels than we had used in the past. So a full redeployment of our marketing and communications budget and seeing some of the fruit of that as well.
Can I ask a question? How is in-class going versus virtual? Are we seeing good attendance in class post-COVID?
So I don't have those numbers directly in front of me. I can get those to you, but the last time that we looked, we were right about that 50% mark with in person.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Next, Associate Vice President Dale Wayhill will present the institutional advancement report.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Chair, if I could get the report up on screen, gentlemen. Good evening, trustees. So this is the November report for the Office of Institutional Advancement. First slide, there you are. So this represents the grants that we received in the month of November. We had an actually had a very robust month in terms of receipts, almost $1.7 million in 7 different grants. Flint and Genesee Literacy Network made up 3 of those 7 grants, starting with the one at the top. It's a 2-generation family literacy program that came from the Community Foundation of Greater Flint, something called the Flint Kids Fund, which sits under the Community Foundation. It is related to the water crisis. $50,000 came in for that. Then we have, under academics, year 2 of the culinary grant that we're currently spending year 1 down on right now. This is the grant that allows us to bring alive the Culinary Arts Institute in ways that perhaps we haven't been able to without additional funding. CS Mott is liking our progress and has given us a second year of that at $341,000. Under academics, we have CTE, Career Technical Education. This is our Perkins money from the United States Department of Education. This is our annual allotment that we get, just over $825,000 for career tech ed. There's a grant under workforce, and this is WIOA, which is Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, Jobs for Michigan Graduates. JMG is the acronym. This is the in-school portion of that program. I spoke to you maybe 2 months ago about the out-of-school program for JMG. This is the in-school that finally came in November. This is $160,000. Then 2 more for Flint and Genesee Literacy Network. I think you all know that we serve as the fiduciary for that entity. One is software for what they call Aztec Learning. This is a small grant from the Bishop Trust, which is a local family trust held by Choice One Bank for $15,000. The next one is something called the Community Reads Program. This again comes from Community Foundation of Greater Flint. It's a weird number, $2,703, but that is because it's actually buying specific books that are part of Community Reads, and so that's the grand total of the expense, and the Community Foundation pays for that. Under workforce, our last of 7 grants, Adult Career Pathways. This is something we've gotten for a number of years from the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, $300,000. And this will help 200 residents that are adult people in the community that we serve acquire education and training. So again, $1.7 million. I'm happy to announce that we have a positive variance for grants this month. So last year it was only 363, or prior year 363 for the month of November. We are still have a variance year to date, however, so $2.4 million for the current fiscal year versus $8.4 2.489 for last year. And so if you look at the very bottom where there's an asterisk, we always tell you how many grants are outstanding. These are grants where we've submitted the proposal, but we've not yet heard from the funder one way or another. So as of the end of November, for this month's report, there were 13 outstanding proposals for a total of $14.662 million. $12.5 million of that 14 is capital outlay proposal that was submitted October 30th or October 31st. And we included that in the November because it was so close to the end of the month. Next slide, please. You got the foundation for Mott Community College. I'll emphasize the first column, then I'll comment on the variances in the second column. I know Trustee Daly had a question last month about this, and Lynetta helped explain it, but I've got a good case in point, I think. So scholarships, $4,700 for the month, almost $10,000 in events, unrestricted, $2,626. Other funds, almost $15,000. Employee giving was $1,046. So for the month of November, the foundation in those categories brought in $33,150, $450. You do see last year it was $57,167. Of that amount, $26,000 was from a single major donor, giving 3 different gifts. So it's the Kyle Kuzma Family Foundation. He was a basketball player, comes out of Flint, still a basketball player, but in Flint, came out of Flint, has a family foundation, wants to give back to our community. He set up an endowed scholarship, or his foundation did last year, for single mothers who have children who are in our culinary arts program. And that scholarship was endowed in November of last year. So that's the permanent scholarship. Then they also gave another $12,000 to a particular student who was the first recipient of the scholarship. And then they gave a small amount to the business division at the college. So 3 separate gifts, total $26,000. So that's more than what the variance was. So the ebb and flow of major gifts, and when this comes in, is something very difficult to control in terms of the foundation. So you do see that we're running a positive variance year to date. $383,000 for the year for the foundation year to date, end of November, versus $292,780 a year ago. And then the last slide is our activity around governmental relations. For the month of November, we didn't send any letters to legislators at the state or the federal level. Excuse me. Under meetings that were held, we did hold second round interviews, final interviews with 2 lobbying firms that we've been assessing for work at the college. As part of that, you can see that I spoke to Senator Cherry and Representatives Green, Martis, Martin, and Neely regarding those 2 firms to get their reaction and a little bit more about their knowledge of their work in Lansing. Also spoke with former State Senator Jim Hananek, Minority Leader, when he was in the Senate about the same issue, essentially a reference check. I had my monthly meeting with Public Affairs Associates, which is the current lobbying firm for the college. Let's see, purchasing did reference checks, their own reference checks on the lobbying firms. Then lastly, I drafted letters of thanks for state officials related to the state budget's adoption and the fact that Mott increased our appropriation and that Michigan Reconnect and Community College Guarantee were not affected by any cuts. And then under the federal level, I also drafted a letter for our federal officials related to the passage of the national budget. With that, I am finished, Madam President. I yield to you.
Thank you, Dale. Any questions? Excellent.
All right. Enjoy the
Good
holidays.
Work. Thank you. And last, but certainly not least, Associate Vice President and Chief of Staff Marcus Matthews will present the final draft of the 2026 and 27 strategic plan. Marcus?
All right. Thank you so much, Madam President, Mr. Chair, members of the Boards of Trustees. With me today is Julie Kunselman. You know her very well, our student consultant, who is our subject matter expert on all things strategic planning. She could not be here in person today. We're going to let her celebrate her family members getting her PhD, so we'll let her have a pass on this one. She's very excited to start a lineage of education there, but she is going to join us. Just a few things as Dr. Kunselman is pulling up the presentation for you today. I want to thank all of you for all your support, feedback on the strategic plan. Thank you for attending the Committee of the Whole in August. Thank you for authorizing the president in August and then getting the word out about all of our surveys, our listening sessions, providing your own feedback. We're just so appreciative. As Robert said, it takes a village to get enrollment up. It took a village to build the strategic plan that you have with you today that Dr. Kunselman is going to share with you. So again, thank you so much for all your work. We look forward to having you review this and then, of course, discussing it in January at another meeting. But Dr. Kunselman, if you are prepared with your present, oh, Dr. Kunselman, I'm not sure that's the, is that the screen you want us to see? It's the one that your slides are small.
Nope.
Okay.
All right. Let's see if I can get the right one to you then. See slide.
We see an Excel spreadsheet, and next to it we see a small board
Nope.
plan.
It's really interesting, y'all. You see if I can do something different.
As Dr. Kunselman is doing that, I will let you know there are 3 documents you have in front of you today for our strategic plan. One is the strategic action items. It looks something like this. These are the action items that will lead us to our goals for our strategic plan. You have our scorecard, which Dr. Kunselman helped create with our commitment thought team, executive cabinet, based on all our survey responses. And then, because we know we like documentation and to see where these numbers come from, we have the data and definition sheet, which looks something like this. That's your supplement to your scorecard. So those are the documents Dr. Kunselman is going to be going over with you now. So, Julie,
Thanks,
go ahead.
Jordan.
Now we see. Now we see it. Thank you.
Yeah, my apologies. Thanks, Jordan, for helping me out with that. Good to see you all tonight, trustees and President Richardson Snell and executive leaders. And thank you for the opportunity to join you via Zoom tonight. Since I was with you all last month, we've made great progress on the plan with the support of each of the executive leaders and members of their respective teams, including Dr. Amanda Holdsworth, the lead of marketing and communications. The leaders and their teams helped us to finalize those 3 documents that Jordan shared with you to accompany the slides and that Marcus just referenced. The scorecard with the baseline measures and projections, the strategic actions with alignment to those strategic priorities and goals, and then the data definitions and sources complement. There's branded documents. Again, we're with the leadership support from Amanda Holdsworth and that team did great work getting it to look good. And then also, again, a thank you to the Commitment Thought Team employees. Tonight, and in accordance with that timeline from the Committee of the Whole meeting back in August, we're shifting into that final phase of the strategic planning process with the finalization of the plan for the board's consideration. This phase kicks off with the presentation of the final draft to you tonight for review and approval consideration. So as you look at the strategic plan, we're really in those 3 documents. The first is the strategic plan scorecard, and it highlights the 4 strategic priority areas that you see here on the screen. And then our way of progress monitoring that, if you will, is the red, yellow, green metric at the bottom. So I'm going to run into each of these pretty quickly, and you'll see how the documents connect with one another as well. So what you see on the screen here is goal number 1.1, which is aligned to enrollment, both academics and workforce enrollment unduplicated, and then total enrollment is duplicated there that you see. Then our projection of increase of the 4%, which gives you not only the percentage increase, but also the numerical or the number of student increase. and then the related goal of total enrollment that you'll see there. What's underneath that is the piece from that data definitions and sources document. So IRDS and the leadership team have spent a lot of time, as you know, putting together where the truth source of our data are. And so with all of the metrics that you see on the scorecard, we have the data definitions and sources for those. And so when you look at the baseline measures, you see that that's from AY 2024 and 25. And it shares again that we're looking at unduplicated headcount, and then for the total enrolled, the duplicated number. And it also provides us where we can find those data if we're looking for them, so that we can always be able to do the progress monitoring in real time as needed, and if we have questions. The second measure is related to persistence and retention. And for this goal, we're looking at two different populations to secure the entire population of students that we serve. The first is the year one students. So we want to look at their fall to winter, so term to term, whether it be fall to winter or winter to next term, fall retention in their first year. So we'll see not only their term persistence, but also the year for that first year student retention. So retention is the year over year. And then we also wanted to capture that for our multi-year students. So anyone after their first year would then be in the second bucket of the year 2+ retention. And so you can see the baseline measures there, 70%, 50%, and then 36%. And so our focus is to increase those percentages, right, of retention. So pretty bold metrics in terms of the 2% and then, or 4% overall, 3% and 2%. But I think as we really focus on this and get to know what that looks like, and with some of the actions that are aligned to these goals, I think we'll have a pretty good opportunity to not only reach that, but potentially exceed it. The next metric is the measure related to credentials awarded. Again, we want to capture the most our entire population of students in this. So we have not only academic degrees, but also the certificates and the workforce certificates to get to total completers. You can see those targets in the projections, as well as the source data to understand what we're measuring there. The next measure is related to student credit hours, something that every month at the board meeting, the vice president shares with you where we are in that. He did that tonight. There's a great increases when we look year over year. We built this metric instead of doing total semester credit hours. We built it into an average by student. And so this is really an opportunity to look at the individual level data of students and how many credits the student is taking. So this, the goal of the scorecard is really to change behavior and how we engage with students to help them be successful. So in this case, we're looking at credit hour, average credit hour per student. We want to break that into part-time and full-time to be able to really coach students who are maybe taking 3 hours and helping them see what it means, the difference to take 6 hours potentially in terms of reducing their time to degree and things like that. Or as they get closer to graduation, the ability to help them see the benefits of potentially seeing courses that fit together, or courses potentially that'll help them to earn their degree more quickly. So that's the purpose of this measure. And then the last one is about the student experience and student engagement. And this comes off of the nationally recognized community college survey of student engagement, which is a metric about how a student evaluates their overall educational experience. And so we have that baseline. It's a biennial survey, so we won't administer that survey next year, but we'll have that in 26, 27. And then that third document that Marcus referenced is related to the strategic actions. And so on that document, for the first time you're seeing tonight, is our ability to see how the actions are connected to each of the priorities and goals. So these are the strategic actions or winning moves that help us achieve the measures that we just went through. And on this slide, you see the focus for priority 1, student engagement and experience. And as you're reviewing this, note the breadth and the focus of the actions aligned with the student engagement and experience. It really ranges from strengthening our relationships, those collaborations across internal systems, the implementation of case management, to increasing access and engagement and outcomes for special populations, so that we're ensuring that any student and every student that comes to Mott leaves either career and or transfer ready, and is also prepared for the next generation of technology and AI, jobs of the future, et cetera. And so we replicate this process again, and this is the employee engagement and experience measures. This one ties to Jim's presentation earlier of the voluntary turnover rate. Worked with Jim and team to understand what the voluntary turnover rate was, is the Coupa average to make sure that we maintain. We're at that now, and so we either want to be lower than that or maintain it, or be lower than that as a projection over time. The second goal is related to feedback that we received mainly from the employees in whatever form that we received it. And this is about the metric, care about me, value me. The third one is about developing employees and providing opportunities for them. And then the fourth one is that employee net promoter score. And this is really the score of employees rating Mott is a good place to work. And so I think the more exciting pieces related to the employee metrics are really the actions aligned to this priority. As you can see from this slide and on the sheet in front of you, multiple goals are aligned with each of these actions, and there's really a strong connection across the strategic actions. Again, I think this is likely due to the various opportunities we had for employees to provide feedback, and really the proactive participation by the employee representatives on that commitment thought team. I think no matter how employees provided feedback to us, the feedback that we received was unified across these measures and that were important to employees. And so the actions you see focus on professional growth and development, prioritizing campus-wide systems and resources, and cultivating a safe and trusting community that promotes a sense of belonging, and ultimately creating an environment where employees feel valued. This next set of metrics focuses on strategic priority 3, operational efficiencies, process and services. You see here, we're focused on maintaining or improving the expenditure to revenue ratio. That's listed there. Appreciate Larry's input and support in getting us the targets and projections over time. And you can see again from the data definitions and sources where that information comes from. Goal 3.2 is also a financial goal related to achieving a general fund balance percentage of 20% of expenditures. Again, I appreciate Larry's input on this and getting us to good projections that are aligned with the priorities of the college as well. This third goal is related to employee communication or just communication in general. I heard Dr. Dodson mention just improved communication. It starts with us, really, and so our ability to measure that and get feedback from employees about how we can improve communication as well is something that was important to include on the scorecard. And then the other piece that's the last goal, this goal 4, is related to internal support service. So a lot of feedback from employees and stakeholders about how we provide internal service to each other and support each other and other units. And so this is a measure related to that. All of these measures that you see will all be learned from a single survey. So we're not going to over-survey employees to get these data. They'll be accrued in an annual and potentially biannual survey. And so the actions related to Priority 3 of operational efficiencies, process, and services focus on both support and empowering employees to identify and own improvements, encourage the use of AI and other technologies and systems to optimize our work. They encourage collaboration to remove barriers. They focus on the need for alignment of budget resources and support to support priorities and maintain and improve facilities. I think importantly, similar to the employee engagement priority, these actions have a combination of removing barriers, identifying resources, improving communication and operations. It really reinforced the feedback from employees on the commitment thought team, specifically that we must get some foundational things right in this strategic plan for us to be able to unlock the creativity of employees. This came through on the survey feedback as well as from the commitment thought team. And this only happens if we're moving from reacting to being proactive. So that's the focus of that strategic priority 3. And the final strategic priority aligns to community engagement and partnership success. You see here focused on employee partnerships and how we've defined what it means to be a level 4 partner. You can see what's important here in terms of building the depth of partnerships that we have with employers. And so we're focused on not only having a better system for identifying partners across the institution, but then also understanding the depth of partnership, whether it be they engage in scholarships or they're providing assistantships or internships. We want to be able to capture that and really focus on how we can build and continue to build the depth of partnership. One of the ways we'll do that too is understanding or getting that feedback from our partners. And so we'll have Net Promoter Score for partners, where we're asking them if they recommend Mott Community College as the first choice for education and training. Gives us great feedback, allows us to benchmark across all fields with the Net Promoter Score, but more importantly, it helps us make a connection with our partners to understand how we might serve them better, get us started in conversations. And then the last goal relates to foundation growth, and I appreciate Dale and on his team as well, and Lynetta, their work in helping identify the baseline measures as well as the projections. So you can see our definitions here. We're choosing not only foundation contributions, but also that foundation contribution to the general fund, and then also looking at grant revenue. And we're using non-federal grant revenue as that metric. We had a lot of discussion about what the best metric was for grant revenue, and I think this is the most stable one that we determined using a 2-year average. And we also looked at some best practices right now that are happening in the field. So the actions for priority 4, community engagement and partnership success, have impact not only on our external partners, those employers or community organizations or residents, but they also impact student experience and employee experience. I think to that end, these actions really help us proactively focus on win-win-wins in our relationships and put the community in from our Mott Community College name in the forefront of the strategic plan and our priorities. So what's next? What's next is we'll continue to work with marketing and communications to make sure that we've branded and communicated the strategic plan in a way that provides the best understanding for folks, as well as presentation. Of course, this is as we get ready for your approval, really trying to understand those pieces and work together to make sure we have those. And then, we'll have the Board of Trustee retreat in January, where we'll discuss and create and guide a plan and process for implementation. That's all I have tonight. Is there anybody have any questions?
Are there any questions? No
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask, how do you, in your opinion, how do you feel the feedback was from students, faculty, community? Were people pretty open to share and to provide feedback?
Yeah, I think, well, this is crazy. I see two of me. Yes, Dr. Dodson, I think we provided many opportunities for folks to provide feedback. I think the anonymous survey was helpful for folks who may not have felt comfortable coming to one of the sites where we held focus groups or listening sessions. So I think that opportunity, just the opportunity to connect with me individually too, that was provided to some folks. So if, for example, a student couldn't make it, that student emailed and said, hey, I have some information. So I think we provided many opportunities and then even extended those opportunities for both on-site and virtual connection for folks to provide feedback if they wanted to.
Okay, but for the ones who attended the Zoom meetings, or if they were in person, do you feel that the communication was pretty open, that people were pretty open and honest about their feedback?
You know, I think the people that came, I think the people that were at the sessions for the most part were. I think the virtual session, you know, there could have been an opportunity there where folks saw, you know, a board member or two that were on there and may not have felt comfortable. But we had another session as well, right? So I think if there was any, I didn't feel like anyone didn't provide feedback that was on those, but I wouldn't know if they didn't say anything either, right? So I just so I don't know that I can answer that other than saying the folks who did share were very open in their comments.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the board.
And thank you, Marcus, and thank you, Julie. Excellent, excellent work by both of you, all of the executive cabinet, as well as the commitment thought team. Very, it's a tremendous plan and a great product, and you should all be very proud of this work, and it's going to be fun to implement. Thank you.
Okay, with that report, we've got the plan. We can review it at your leisure. I'm going to call a special meeting on the 17th of January at 9 a.m. so that we can raise any questions or we can take action and approve it. Saturday. Okay. All right, let's move along to board comment. Kenyatta? Board comment? I'll come back to you. Wendy?
I hope everyone enjoyed their treats that I made you and have a Merry Christmas.
John?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You're up.
Wow. Okay. So there was a comment that I believe our trustee Reyes made at our last meeting maybe, and I just want to make sure that this gets on the agenda for the next meeting. And what it was he said, he asked the question how the students for the President's Advisory Council are chosen and by whom. I just want to make sure we bring that back around and we provide some type of information for that.
I sent that
Did you?
email to you.
Today, was it today or yesterday?
Yeah, that was, I sent that yesterday to you.
Okay, thank you. I do remember seeing that. And then the other thing is communication about school closures and event cancellations. If we can, as a board, if we can discuss at future meetings about how do we have better communication as it relates to school closures and event cancellations, that would be incredibly helpful. I think just the whole piece around communications to the board and taking a deeper dive into that would be incredibly helpful.
Okay.
I would like to say thank you to Transition School of Cosmetology Careers, Ms. Tamika and Ms. Duwana Moore, and their entire team. We had a wonderful time from a community standpoint, getting acquainted with their services. There were men, women from community, many of which who are quote-unquote frontliners, like moms, dads, community champions, not your typical EMT or firefighter, but the person who's holding it down in community. And they were able to come over to the Transition School of Cosmetology and receive manicures, pedicures. I never even heard of a back facial, but a back facial and even regular facials. So the community really enjoyed themselves, and we definitely plan on coming back. So just wanted to say thank you to Ms. Tamika, Ms. Dewana, and their team. I was able to attend a tour today of the Ballinger Fieldhouse and Durham Fitness Center. That was amazing. Thank you, President Shonda Snell and the team for taking me around. It was wonderful. I look forward to the day when all of us can enjoy the fitness center, because it's truly something to take part in. And I believe that's it for now. I'll save the rest for later, and I'll just say Merry Christmas as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to wish the gentleman over there happy holidays. Thank you for being patient tonight. And go right ahead.
The most important thing, the MCC Board of Trustees has come together as a full board to financially support the foundation through our collective giving. So all of us have come together as a full board, as one, and we will be planting our seed, giving it to Dale, so that we can end the year giving to the foundation of Mott Community College. Yay!
There you go.
I'm done.
My turn? And to the board, happy holidays. Hope you enjoy them. Shonda, happy holidays to you. And to the audience, have a safe holiday season. Thank you. With that, meeting is adjourned.